This is Bryce on BYU. All right, welcome back to a special edition of Bryce on BYU. I haven't done one of these before. I don't think I did a bi-week podcast last year. Before my podcast eventually floundered and died last year, but anywho, I wanted to make sure I got something out, and I was sitting trying to think of what I was going to do, and there's two parts to this podcast. The first part that I'm about to talk about is talking about the BYU Utah game coming up. Not so much a preview, but I just want to talk about kind of how we should treat each other during this upcoming, this upcoming game, because I think there's just, there's definitely, it's not as bad as I feel like in years past, but the toxicity is just not what you want in this rivalry. And also, the other thing I think I want to talk about is just, kind of the rankings. BYU got up to number 9. And, let's talk about all that. First of all, like I said, I wanted to talk about is BYU-Utah rivalry fan toxicity. I want to start off by saying this. I'm not saying that we should just be all like, la-di-da-di-da, I'm going to be super nice to everybody. It's not even kind of the message I want to get out. I believe competition is a healthy thing. I just think too often in this rivalry, it goes from being like, well, we're going to beat you to, and maybe even like a little bit of you guys suck to, well, you guys are just the worst kind of people alive. You should be ashamed of yourself, and like that kind of generalization of fans and things is. I just don't think it has any place. I think the toxicity gets too much. I think thinking of Utah fans as second class or BYU fans as second class, I think it's all wrong. I have got a few Twitter fans in particular that I like. One of them right now, he's kind of going by the Lawn Father, Colorado Ute, as many would know him by. He's probably one of my favorite. Ute fan Ivan, I think, is another great one. Let me just double check the Lawn Father's. What's it called? His handle is at CO_Ute51. Great follow. He's and then the other one is I need to remember exactly how he spells this, but it's Tyrell. I think is his name. I'm just trying to remember how to spell this, because so it's IITZ underscore TYRELL. Those are 3 of my favorites. There's more. There's a bunch that are good. Jay Holito is pretty good. There's just a good amount of them. And what makes them good isn't that they're like sitting there like, BYU is wonderful. It's that they're willing to be like, hey, I know some good BYU fans, and I still want us to beat you guys, but not all BYU fans are bad. It's not necessarily, they might have their own opinions on the schools and the institutions themselves, but if you can't talk to other fans, if you can't talk to other fans without basically treating them like dirt, I don't. So as we go into this rivalry, my message would be, let's just keep it civil. Smack talk is great. I want BYU to thrash Utah, if at all possible. I don't know if it's going to happen, because in this rivalry, that just doesn't happen all that often. Most of the time, it's just a 1-score game, 2-score game, maybe. But, I would love to see BYU beat Utah by 20 points or more. That would be great. And I think BYU is the far superior team in terms of performance this year. What I think is crazy about this game, and I'll talk about this more next week, is is Utah has so much talent at every position, and they're underperforming. I don't know what the answer is for you Utah fans. I don't think a lot of you guys have. I haven't seen a lot of explanations as to what the answer really is, other than, maybe we get a new coaching staff. I don't know. Witt's a great coach, so I don't know that that's necessarily the root of the problem. But, whatever it takes to solve it, maybe a new coach helps, or a new, offensive line, or not offensive line, offensive coordinator helps you, get to the root of all those problems. But ultimately, you really need to make sure that you are treating just everybody, just smack talk them hard. Tell them, yeah, we think we're going to destroy you guys, but it doesn't mean you're a lesser person. So, anyway, that's my little, small little thing on this. As for the other thing, BYU was ranked number 9 on Sunday, and that shocked me. Not because I didn't think BYU deserved it, but because I just thought that the pollsters would move up Notre Dame above them, which they did, and I thought they'd move up Texas A&M above them, and I thought Iowa State would stay above them. I thought maybe one spot if they got lucky because LSU was going to drop. And they got a lot of respect from the voters, and as BYU continues to win, and if they can continue to win convincingly like they did against UCF, they'll continue to get more and more respect from the voters. We'll see how it goes. Utah next week. Like I said, Bert, this group has me believing that they can do it, unlike groups in years past. There have been groups in years past, like 2009, 2021, where there was either holes in terms of talent or holes in terms of coaching. That, like in 2021, I think they overcame, not necessarily, and I don't mean this like of Kalani, I mean just of some other coaches at the time. They were able to overcome certain coaching deficiencies because they had a plethora of talent and coaching talent at other spots. I think, a big thing I've been listening for this week is A-Rod, who's been on both sides of this rivalry, who may not, from what it sounds like has been suggested, may not have the best of feelings towards the Utah as a whole, is going to be driving a lot of this rivalry, let's go get them sort of thing, is this drive. But I think, if I'm BYU, that's good. But I also think you just need to say, we want to win because we want to go out there and just control our own fate. One loss, yes, you can overcome bias against you. But if you don't lose, if you can go undefeated all the way through the conference championship game, you take the control out of anybody else's hands and say, we are going to be playing in the second round because we have guaranteed ourselves a good seed. I'm excited next week when we do this podcast in advance as a preview for the BYU-Utah game. I'm excited to look and see what the College Football Playoff Committee did, to see what they did in terms of ranking BYU. It'll be interesting to see what happens during this bye week. There's some big games. Just looking ahead at the Big 12 slate for this upcoming weekend. I should have pulled this up before I did the before I started in on the podcast. But looking at the Big 12 slate, you got some good games coming on this weekend. You got Iowa State's going to be taking on Texas Tech, who's going to be wanting to kind of see if they can get back on track. Iowa State's got an interesting remainder of their schedule in terms of BYU is going to have a hard time remaining undefeated, but so is Iowa State. I mean, look at Iowa State. They've got Texas Tech this weekend. Then they've got Kansas, who's not had the best of years, but there's still something there, and they seem to be putting certain things together. Then they're going to host Cincinnati at home, and then they finish off against Kansas State at the end of the year. That's quite the slog. I think for me personally, I want Iowa State to finish out undefeated because I think that thing of it's hard to win twice against the same opponent, it holds true because you have to come up with almost a whole new game plan. A couple of our previous opponents, UCF and Arizona, are going to play each other. Arizona State and Oklahoma State, that could be an interesting one just to see how Arizona State matches up against them and see if there's anything we can garner about how BYU season has gone. And then the big rivalry game between TCU and Baylor is always a good one. I think it's at least worth a watch. It may not necessarily have all the conference implications that you want it to, but it should be an interesting one to teach us about who the teams are nevertheless. So anyways, yeah, like I said, I think the big message I just wanted to get through on this podcast was just make sure that we go about this rivalry week smack talking good smack talk, but make sure that you keep it civil and respectful. And, it's going to be a good week. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun game, and I'm glad it's back to being a conference game. This is going to be exciting, guys. But yeah, I look forward to, doing all the preview stuff coming up next week, and we'll see how everything goes. But until next week, I will talk to you guys soon. Go Cougs!